Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. Human beings are not addicted to substances, to activities, to phones or technology, video games, TV, social media, alcohol, cigarettes, shopping, and gambling are not addictive. A pack of cigarettes just sits there. Alcohol just sits there. Junk food just sits there. It isn't the products or activities that are addictive. It is the human being that has the addiction within them. The objects, the activities, the pleasures in life are merely the objects of the deeper addiction. They are the symptom of addiction, the expression of addiction. But the root cause of addiction lies within us, because we are addicted to addiction, to ravenous, excessive, insatiable desire. Almost every single one of us is addicted to this urge for pleasure, excitement, stimulation, escapism from ourselves. Since we are very little children, we watch these exciting, colorful movies and shows. If we're lucky, we go to theme parks and we become immersed in these shows. We combine that with sugary, high-fat foods and drinks, and we go crazy. We become addicted to excitement and stimulation and pleasure. And so as adults, we are just living out the natural effect from those causes of an overstimulated childhood. And we all want that for our kids. We all want them to have fun and excitement. But just like adults, just like children, that excitement needs to be brought to us with an equal amount of presence and awareness, so that we don't lose ourselves to these excitements and luxuries and pleasures in life. And this can be done with children, and it's even more important as adults when we make our own decisions in life, that we don't lose ourselves to this extreme desire, to this greed for pleasure, where we lose ourselves, we lose our composure, we lose our presence, and we become hyper-fixated on getting our next fix. And we live in these highs and lows, peaks and crashes, rather than using these wonderful aspects of life, these joys and pleasures, as the powerful tools they are for maintaining our tranquility and peace, for observing how it excites us and not being overtaken by that excitement. And so naturally, when we are not given that balance and we're just given these hyper-stimulating video games as children and quick-paced, edited TV shows and cartoons that just turn our brains into overdrive, we become adults who have an addiction to this mental pattern of seeing something we like, going crazy for it, and as soon as the novelty wears off, we are crashed and looking for something new to bring us the briefest, most fleeting satisfaction in life. Something to lift us back up, because all we know is that this feeling that we crave, which has nothing to do with the substance, but everything to do with the way those substances and activities make us feel, is the only way for us to feel better, for us to satisfy this spiritual need and fill these universe, God-sized holes in our hearts that we just don't have any other way of filling. And so we turn to these tiny little things like food and drugs and gambling or alcohol or work, but it is like throwing change into a bottomless pit, and it will never fill that hole. And the only way to truly end our suffering, because we can quit a substance and we can focus very intently on making sure we never do it again and give all of our effort and mental space to making sure we never go that route again. But if the addiction to addiction is still in our mind, that addiction to pleasure, that addiction to that lust that makes us lose ourselves, that need for always more, and that continuing mental habit and belief that some new pleasure will fulfill us and bring us the lasting happiness we're looking for, we will usually only be trading one addiction for another. We will be constantly attaching and clinging to whatever we find exciting and pleasurable. And we will either give in and lose ourselves and regret it and crash, or we will fight and resist and put all of our force and effort into not giving in. And either way, we are controlled and we are suffering. And the real goal, the true goal we all want, is that natural bliss and happiness, that contentment and peace from simply being, from a mind that rests and can pause and appreciate, where we don't have to crave any pleasure or escape from ourselves and our thoughts, where the phone doesn't torment us and the apps that are so addictive don't taunt us, where the alcohol or junk food on a shelf can sit there and we can be as peaceful as it is. ever since I was a very little boy, I was an addict. I was a little craving demon. I could eat until the food ran out, whatever it was. I remember one time I was at a friend's house and he was very skinny. I was a bit larger, and the mom really tries to get the kid to eat, and she was just so pleased I finished my plate. And I was like, you think that's impressive? Give me another one. I was always eating, and I just thought there was something wrong with me. I was just extremely hungry, and I didn't know why. I was just the hungriest kid around. And, later I look back and realize that food brought me the pleasure, and the pleasure was covering up the pain. I didn't know how to meditate. I didn't know what mindfulness was. And so for me, there was pleasure and there was suffering. And if I wasn't consuming food, watching shows, often with food, playing video games, then I was suffering. As I got older, I discovered smoking and drinking. And here were just two other ways to extend that pleasure, delay that pain, avoid it altogether. As I got even older, it became work that was fulfilling that urge, that need. And coffee and caffeine were the fuel to drive it. I would even drink 20 or more espresso shots in a day. I had to always pretty much have something in my mouth or just in my mouth. Always be running from one place to the next. And New York City was a great city to be an addict in, because there's never a dull moment, not a moment of self-reflection. But after a while, that city that never sleeps begins to take its toll. And that ability to get blackout drunk every single night, and it feels normal because everybody's doing it, and there's always a fun party or bar to go to. Not to mention you take a cab or the subway everywhere, so there's literally nothing stopping you from drinking all the time. Finally, maybe because of how extreme I was, I hit that breaking point where I realized, there's no control here. I'm going in a one-way direction to an early grave, and something's got to change. I just wanted to quit alcohol, but when you go to the root cause, you end up getting rid of the smoking, and you get your eating under control, and you find a sustainable way to work that doesn't drain you, but rejuvenates and energizes you. And so what I did was two things. I started to meditate. Something just made me realize that I suspected I was drinking because there was some underlying unhappiness, and that maybe meditation could be the thing that brings me some more happiness. And I strongly suspected that it wasn't enough to just remove these things, but I needed to replace them with something very positive. And it's kind of like eating a salad or going to the gym. It's not great going down. It's not great during the thing, But the benefits come later and they last longer compared to eating a cheeseburger or chocolate cake, which might make you feel great in the moment, but then as soon as it's over, it's like it never happened and you feel terrible. So I gradually started to shift my activities to the things that would bring long-term health, well-being, and energy, instead of that immediate satisfaction and gratification. But that meditation did so much more for me than just making me happier, which it did. Made me more patient, more present. But the real magic was that I started to observe the thoughts that pop into my mind and notice how they affect me in the body. And oftentimes you're sitting on that meditation pillow and a thought comes in, let's go get a cheeseburger. Let's go get drunk. Come on, this is stupid. You can have one drink, but you have to sit on that meditation pillow until the rest of your meditation time is up. And so 20 minutes, 30 minutes ultimately became an hour. And so you become an expert at witnessing cravings come up and not reacting to them. And it would happen 10, 100 times in a meditation. And each time that happens, you don't react to it. You don't move. You don't go down that train of thought of getting it and how to get it. And as soon as this is over, I'm going to get it. You just witness it. You just observe it. You don't fight it away. You don't give in. You just neutrally, peacefully watch it. And you watch how each time it comes up and each time it goes away. And that it's just phenomena that we witness. And the way habits work is that every time you smoke or drink or gamble, you ingrain that habit into your brain a little deeper. You carve that neuronal pathway into your brain, making it a little stronger every time. And so if you drink for 1,000 nights, you have 1,000 actions hardwired into your brain. But if that thought and urge come up 100 times in a meditation or 200 times throughout the day, then that is 200 times you didn't drink. And that means that in 5 days, that's 1,000 times you didn't drink. In 10 days, it's 2,000. And so simply through meditation, allowing these urges to arrive and not acting on them, not reacting in any way, gives us power over those urges. And in just 5 days, you have as strong a habit of not drinking as you used to have of drinking. And in 10 days, it's double. This is how we create new habits, how we free ourselves from addiction, and how ultimately, when we start to notice the mind and its desirous, greedy, lustful nature for pleasure, excitement, power, security, companionship, and everything else we crave in life, and we simply watch them come and go, we free ourselves from the root cause of all of our suffering, from all of our addictions, and from any future potential addictions. A lot of people think that a spiritual person has to avoid the luxuries of life, should live in a cave somewhere or a mountaintop. They should wear dirty, tattered robes and escape society. But that is just another escape. And spirituality just means going deeper into life, whatever it is for each of us. And we use everything that life has in store for us, the good, the bad, the pleasures, and the pains, as spiritual tools for maintaining our peacefulness, for witnessing craving, for witnessing hating, and as practice to stay tranquil and calm through all of it. It's all just the training ground for our spiritual evolution. And so we welcome it all. And when we truly observe peacefully whatever comes into our lives, then we have a deep peace that no longer seeks out any harmful behaviors, because there's no self to escape from. There's no scary thoughts we can't deal with. There's nothing outside of us that we rely on any longer for what we know to experience firsthand as the greatest bliss and joy in life, which is ultimately freedom. Freedom from our thoughts, freedom from the ego, the story it weaves, the cravings that consume us, freedom to choose, freedom to pause, freedom to control our awareness, direct our focus, and the freedom from attachment and clinging to life's pleasures, and the freedom from resisting and fighting life's pain. Because only then are we truly free. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to everyone who supports this podcast and makes sure that it's free and keeps going so that everyone can find these messages so that we can all liberate ourselves, find peace, and spread peace. So whether you've subscribed, shared it with a friend, or supported us on eastwesticism.org, YouTube, Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to this beautiful world you are helping create, free from so much of the needless suffering that is happening in our world. Much love. Is there more to this universe than science can show us? Is there anything mystical or miraculous in the remote corners of the earth that I could see with my own two eyes? My newest book, Aloneness to Oneness, is that journey of discovery. From the rebellious kid who rejected it all, to the adult searching for something deeper, to the person I am today. It is all of the stories, wisdom, lessons, insights, and inspirations I gained on this adventure. If you've ever questioned, doubted, or wondered about the meaning of it all, this book is for you.